Hi everyone. So today we will be talking about conversational AI and agentic AI. So do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, so I think conversational AI, everybody has been using it since 2022. Everybody must be familiar with ChatGPT or Gemini, and that has been in use heavily in everybody's day-to-day life. So effectively, what is conversational AI? It is just predicting what is going to come next. So if we are having a conversation, so what you might say next, that is just something that is predicted and spit out by the conversational AI model. So so that is just something like a prediction model, you can say, language-based prediction model. But people have used it for all sorts of things, even for coding, because it gives out a lot of good code. But I think for coding, you might have some idea about what might be better to use.
Yeah, I agree with you because so the problem with conversational models is that even though they've spit out good code, there's a limit to how much it gets context, right? After which it starts hallucinating. The problem is, so there are two problems. So hallucination is the first problem. And most applications don't work on a single file. They work on multiple files.
That's true.
So it's very hard to keep track of multiple files in the same chatbot. So there's this thing called agentic AI. And that's leaps and bounds better than a chatbot, right? So what it will do is that you just give it a basic prompt. Let's say you want to make a portfolio website, right? And you just tell it what you want on the website, as in the data that is supposed to be on the website, and then from the first line of code until its deployment, it will take care of everything. And that includes troubleshooting and hosting, every single thing. And so what makes this interesting is now because of agentic AI, and you must have heard about Devin. It's a great example about. It's basically a software engineer at this point. That anyone can code. People with no coding background, who know what's supposed to go on the website, who have or maybe have a slight idea of how code looks, can just get the process completed through.
Or even anyone who just has idea about the process itself can just use agentic AI. So there's like very slight difference between conversational and agentic. Just very slight thing, but that just opens up so many capabilities for what AI can do nowadays. The main difference is that in agentic AI there's like a script which is running in the background, like a one kind of loop, and it just calls the so essentially there is a conversational AI aspect to it in the background. It just takes the code from there and it using that code it just calls the function. It just calls the function. It's essentially a function call. And based on that, as you mentioned, it just feedback loop, and I think it keeps running. So, but there's like quite limited control, I would say, in agentic. So it just does its thing after a while, and we don't seem to have any control at some point. So I think in that case, maybe kind of a hybrid kind of thing that is in people must have used. I think you might have also seen Copilot or something of that sort, right?
I agree with your point completely. So, like, I like to have some kind of involvement in the project I do, right? Because that keeps me up to date with what's actually going on. And in case an error arises, which let's say the agent cannot solve, then if I'm just jumping in at that moment, I have no clue what's happened. So what hybrid model does, or how it's helped me essentially, is that it's helped me keep
control
in tandem. It helps me. So basically it works in tandem. I work in tandem with the mod agent, and which basically gives me updates for every step that has happened. And so if there is an error, I'm much more equipped to solve that error on my own, because I know what might have gone wrong. And I actually found this out when I was working on a front-end project, right? So I was working on this project called Facts, and the idea behind Facts is that you compare scores on different benchmarks across different machines. And so I was actually working on the UI part of it, and I am super proud to say that I used AI completely. Like it's been so good, especially through GitHub Copilot. I didn't have to write a single line of code.
Was it Claude?
It was Claude Sonnet. And it's fabulous for front-end projects. It's so good that even if you just upload Figma screenshots to it, right? Which is actually a very crude method, but it still works. If you just take screenshots of the design, feed it to Claude on GitHub Copilot, and it will actually just spit out the code for the front end. And So I actually did get some problems because like, not everything is perfect. But as I mentioned, I was much able to resolve the errors faster than I would have if I would have
just
given
it
to
the
Agentic.
AI.
And that essentially helped me a lot with front end. And so what it actually does is that you tell it what to do. Well, the first step is very similar to what would happen with Agentic AI, right? But whenever it needs to run terminal commands, in that case, it will actually come back and ask permission because
sensitive things that might just mess up the system.
Completely true.
Yeah. So essentially, if like system calls are going to take place, then
perfect. And that particular piece, right? It also, because there is an interruption every now and then, it helps you get in sync with the code, even if you're away. So that I found that pretty interesting. And like I personally prefer that kind of a model because it, again, same point, it helps me.
It at least makes you feel in control. And it's easier to have the context of the project while you're working on it, and not let the AI do anything that just messes up with the system. So that's pretty good. Yeah, nice talking to you.